In this video, we shall continue with the pandemic timeline. Happy viewing! The Great Plague of London of 1665. The Black Death pandemic came calling again. According to records, this time, it claimed the lives of 20% of Londoners. Because they attributed the spread of the disease to domestic animals, hundreds of thousands of cats and dogs were slaughtered. Unfortunately, this only helped to fan the flames of the pandemic because with the killing of cats, the population of rats increased exponentially. First cholera pandemic of 1817. Cholera, an infestation of the small intestine, has attained pandemic status 7 times in the last 150 years. The cholera-causing bacteria is usually spread through contaminated water and food. The contamination comes from unhealthy handling of fecal materials which find their way into the water supply in the area. The first cholera attack occurred in Russia. 1 million people were reported to have died following the outbreak. British soldiers who were infected by the bacteria, spread it to India where it also caused the death of millions of Indian nationals. Britain also spread cholera to Spain, Africa, Indonesia, China, Japan, Italy, Germany, and America. Though a vaccine was made in 1885, the cholera infestation is still very much around, especially in the third world nations where water supply is inadequate. The Third Plague Pandemic of 1855. The Third Plague Pandemic started in China and was spread to India and Hong Kong. It was spread predominantly by fleas. It claimed 15 million lives. Fiji Measles Pandemic of 1875. The Fiji measles pandemic was brought into Fiji by a royal party that visited Australia at the behest of Queen Victoria, the reigning British monarch. History accounts that the visit coincided with a measles outbreak in Australia. Unknown to the royal party, they had been infected with measles and they unwittingly brought back the contagious disease to Fiji. The result of which led to entire villages dying from the disease. It is reported that such villages were usually razed to the ground. There were accounts of villages being burnt with the sick still inside. 1 in 3 persons in Fiji died from the Fiji measles pandemic. Russian flu of 1889. The Russian flu pandemic actually started in Siberia and Kazakhstan. From there, it spread to Moscow. Then it also spread from Moscow to Finland and Poland. From where it spread to the rest of Europe. The Russian flu pandemic then spread to North America and Africa. Spanish flu of 1918. The Spanish flu pandemic was first observed in Europe, the United States and parts of Asia. It was discovered that migrating birds were responsible for the introduction and spread of the flu. The Spanish flu pandemic spread rapidly around the world and resulted in about 50 million deaths worldwide. By the summer of 1919, the scourge subsided. It is believed that this was because those that did not die from the attack had become immune to the virus. Asian flu of 1957. The Asian flu is reported to have started in Hong Kong from where it spread throughout China and then the United States. When the Asian flu reached the shores of Great Britain, within a period of 6 months, 14,000 people were reported to have died from complications related to the disease. In 1958, another wave of infestation occurred. This time, it is estimated that a total of about 1.1 million people died around the world. A vaccine was eventually developed which helped to bring the pandemic under control. HIV/AIDS of 1981. AIDS was first identified in 1981. Acquired immune deficiency syndrome is a disease that destroys the sufferer's immune system, thus leaving the person exposed to attacks by ordinary ailments which the immune system ordinarily protects the body against. These ordinary sicknesses often result in the death of the sufferer. The HIV virus normally makes sufferers experience fever, headache, and enlarged lymph nodes upon infection. When these symptoms subside, the sufferer becomes a walking time bomb, because at this stage, the person becomes highly infectious, easily transferring the virus to others through blood and genital fluid. The HIV virus is believed to have developed from a chimpanzee virus from West Africa in the 1920s. Since the discovery of AIDS, over 35 million people have died of the disease worldwide, and still, no cure has been found for the disease. SARS of 2003. In 2003, there were several cases of people suffering respiratory problems in China. These cases were eventually found to be severe acute respiratory syndrome. The virus that causes SARS is believed to be a virus from a bat that infected a cat and thus developing a totally new strain that could infect humans, so SARS was born. The SARS virus spread from China to 26 other countries, infecting 8,096 people. It caused 774 deaths worldwide. Sufferers of the disease show respiratory problems, dry cough, fever and head and body aches. It is spread through coughs and sneezes. In July, affected nations enforced various degrees of quarantine and it helped check the spread of the virus. COVID-19 of 2019. The Hubei province of China produced the first reported case on November 17, 2019. However, because the severity of the virus was not known, it went unrecognized. In December, 8 more cases appeared. But since the Chinese government was reported to be trying to cover up the infestation, no one took the virus seriously. But when Chinese ophthalmologist, Dr. Li Wenliang, released the news to the public in defiance of the Chinese government, the world became alert to the threat that the virus posed. However, it was too late. The virus spread like wildfire and by mid-March, it had infected 163 countries, and resulted in tens of thousands of deaths. It is noteworthy that though, Chinese ophthalmologist, Dr. Li Wenliang, was charged with a crime by the Chinese government. He died from complications from the coronavirus. Thank you for taking the time to watch the entire History of Pandemics series. I hope that QFact has been able to enlighten you with facts relating to pandemics now and in the past. Stay tuned to QFact for more videos.